Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA. Let's go over what is happening to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. But yeah, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, updates, well, again, I do share my thoughts with my members on my YouTube membership section. The link is down below, interested in the description of the video. Every single day as the market is open, definitely check it out. Just $3 a month. That's all it is for the Tesla tier. If you're interested in NVIDIA as well, that's just $5 a month, which includes Tesla plus NVIDIA. And then for $7 a month, it gives you access to Tesla plus NVIDIA, of course. Also non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA stocks that I share when there's opportunities worth sharing, which I've been sharing a fair amount actually recently. And over the weekend, I do membership chart requests over on Discord with tier 3 members. So if you're interested, link is below. But jumping into it, NVIDIA, with a nice, humble day, we'll say today, down 0.7% on the day, just above $158 per share, which, compared to the market, arguably, yeah, not the worst thing in the world, right? Definitely held its own today relative to the market, at least as best as it could. So what is the stock doing? Is it still going to 164-ish, 165-ish? Is it still going to the top of this channel all the way up here somewhere, mid 160s, we'll say roughly, give or take, right? Or is the stock about to reverse aggressively? Well, that's the main question a lot of people are asking. The way I look at it is this. Now, like I said, overall the momentum, the bigger picture, the momentum is still very, very bullish. Why? Well, number one, we're still in a very large rising channel. We're still bullish. There's no questions asked about that. MACD is bullish. Stochastic is bullish. Exponential moving averages are bullish. We can't even get down below the 9 EMA, right? Stock is very bullish. There's no question. If you look at the stock and you decide, I want to short right here, you could get lucky, of course. There's always a chance you get lucky, but yeah, you are going against the trend pretty aggressively, in my opinion, right? It's a much higher risk, right? NVIDIA to me only gets bearish as if it pretty much loses 142 roughly. It falls out of this channel, loses the exponential moving averages, maybe even loses stochastic. Any of those factors start coming in. Okay, maybe the stock is starting to turn bearish, but again, it's not doing pretty much any of those, right? So that's number one, just getting that out of the way. The stock is bullish, right? No questions asked. Now, short term, let's zoom into the short term, right? What can we expect short term? Well, like I mentioned, right? 157, 158 is support, plain and simple. Why is it? Well, sometimes TA could be as simple as this. Look at this region, nice resistance. Look at this region, nice support. What is this region? It's the same one as before. That was a resistance, now turned support. 157, 158, that kind of $1 or $2-ish range, if you will. We're holding it. We came back into it and we're holding it. Plain and simple. So short-term weakness would be if NVIDIA loses 157, starts closing like the 1 hour candles below 157, starts closing maybe even a daily candle below that, right? But especially 1 hour candles below 157, okay, short-term momentum could be falling off. And at the very least, we get a quick retest of this 9 exponential moving average, which currently is sitting at 155. It'll be a little bit higher tomorrow, probably closer to like 155 and 0.8 or something like that. It would be a nice little quick retest of that, right? And again, the stock has never even lost this, 9 exponential moving average this whole time. You can see ever since the uptrend began, pretty much all the way back here, not a single time has the stock convincingly lost the 8 exponential moving averages. The 9, it keeps riding it the entire time. It got it close a couple times, but it never convincingly closed below it. In fact, it actually still closed above it, arguably, right? It continues riding it up over and over and over and over. And it's still doing that. So, losing 157 on the 1 hour would be a small red flag. I wouldn't say it's concerning, but, starting to close daily candles below the 9 exponential moving average, okay, that's maybe a little bit more concerning. I still wouldn't say it's bearish, but okay, maybe the uptrend is not as strong now. Maybe, maybe it's scaled down a little bit. Maybe it's not as aggressively bullish, but still bullish. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense. But the main levels of the downside as support is, 157, lose 157. We have the 9 exponential moving average in the mid 150s, lose that. We have the previous all-time high support sitting at 153, lose that. Okay, we go to the next one. Then we have sort of previous all-time highs before that, if you will, 149 and 148, lose that. Okay, then we go down to the next one, right? Including the gap fill, so 148, 149. Lose that, yeah, we go down to the next one, 144, 145. So those are the stair-step levels to the downside of supports. We have here, we have here, we have here, and we have here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 areas of support. So bears have a lot of work to do if they really want to turn this around. It's, of course, a possibility. You never know for sure. But yeah, they have a lot of work to do. If they really want to turn NVIDIA back into bear mode, there's a bit of work to do for them. So I'd be watching those 4 main levels as the major support. But again, to make it as simple as possible, stock is still in an uptrend, still in its upward channel, and all the exponential moving averages, all the indicators are all fully bullishly flipped. So I don't expect anything crazy to happen until we get something that actually shows, or at the very least suggests that, right? So let's see how this plays out moving forward. But again, as long as these factors remain, and especially as long as we remain above 157, I would expect NVIDIA to most likely have a much higher chance than not to make its way back up to about the mid 160s to retest the top of this channel. And that's my current expectation. I'm not in NVIDIA. I don't have any position. I'm not long or short the stock. I'm just observing from now. I'm actually in AMD again, but that's kind of my expectation, at least for now. So let's see how this plays out. Let's see what happens moving forward. But again, like I said, the ultimate red flag to me, like the thing that would really make me start considering NVIDIA being back to bearish mode, the thing that would really make me start questioning things is even just losing 144, 145 would already be a pretty big question mark. But 142, to me, that is the major red flag for me. 142 is lost. We lose a pretty important pivot point. That is like really, really bad. Like that to me gets really bearish. And I think we fall out of this channel at that point. Losing 142 at that point will most likely mean we fall out of this channel as well. That to me is where things get very bearish. But an earlier red flag to that, potentially, I wouldn't put too much weight into this personally, but even losing this pivot right here that we had at 151.5, again, I wouldn't put too much weight into this just yet, mainly because there's just so much strong support underneath this level as well. So, you know, maybe a small red flag, but to me, the big red flag is 142. Yeah, but below that, I think the stock is most likely entering a pretty deep correction. And at that point, 130, maybe even 120, absolutely becomes a real possibility for the stock into a much, much deeper correction. That'll probably look something like this-ish, give or take, right? Or maybe it'll look something like this. I don't know, something like that. But again, this is just me giving you the opposite spectrum. This is just me entering, you know, from a bearish perspective, you know, what could potentially happen, what could potentially signal some problems for the stock, something along the lines of that. But again, we're not there yet. Maybe we won't be ever there. Maybe it'll take a very long time. Nobody knows for sure. But again, this also combines with my thought process, like I mentioned on the weekly, where, you know, a lot of resistance over here as we were pretty much around 142 all the way up to pretty much 150, right? Massive area resistance, consistent rejection, finally broke out. So any pullback, again, to about 145, mid 140s, in my opinion, is nothing more than a bullish retest. But again, losing 140 to 142, we start losing this level and we could potentially risk turning it back into a resistance. And this could be a very, very large liquidity sweep, which will look something like this, which could get a lot more bearish a lot more quickly. So this is what the bulls don't want to see. But again, I see no signs of that right now. You know, we are getting a little overextended on the weekly SMI here, you can see for sure. So, you know, we are getting a little overextended. Even if we come up to 165 a little bit higher, I would expect a rejection there. And I would expect the stock to most likely begin its small correction back to the opposite end of the channel. But like I said, overall, the stock is still very, very bullish. I see no reason to be bearish. And those are the main levels to the upside and to the downside I would look for, with the major red flag levels, like I mentioned as well, to watch out for potentially if it, of course, ever occurs on the stock. Going over to the options flow, let's see what is going on over here, if there's anything worth mentioning. 4.2 million call actually came in towards pretty much right before the market closed, like 2 minutes right before the market closed. Someone bought 4.2 million calls on the NVIDIA. 160 strike actually for 815. Actually pretty bullish, not too shabby. I actually didn't see this one because it literally came in like pretty much as I started recording, this came in. So, you know, there's that. That's pretty bullish. I like to see that. That's actually not too bad at all. Not too far out. It's out of the money. It's not too far out in terms of expiration, right? But, you know, it's not too close, but it's not too far out. It's a pretty nice one with a decent amount of premium as well. I like to see this. This is actually kind of bullish. So this even further makes me think that as long as 157 holds, NVIDIA, you know, it could definitely get a retest of closer to the mid 160s. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.